Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask an Expert webinar. My name is Luminara Serdar. I'm your host. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I help kids with the symptoms known as autism to feel better in their bodies, their minds, and their spirits, and to be able to express who they truly are to the world. I use the process of neuromodulation technique, nutrition, detoxification, which is what we'll focus on today, and my background in science and other holistic methods, and that creates lasting transformation. I also host and produce the Autism Recovery Summit once a year, and that helps bring possibilities of healing and hope to parents with kids on the spectrum. And then you can find more resources, and this webinar will actually be posted on my website, which is Autism Transformed, under the resources page. With that, I would love to introduce our guest, Brian Richards. He is the founder of Sauna Space and the lead product developer. He did all the mojo himself, and he fully healed his toxin-related issues, in which he can talk more about. I'd love to hear about it. And this is using the power of near and infrared lamp saunas, and so he'll explain what that is and why that's different and than far infrared, and just talk all about the science. And because of his personal journey, it inspired him to create Sauna Space and the Pocket Sauna, and he's got the products behind him. And other products, in the Sauna Space line to help with healing. And it sounds like he has some other great hacks. So with that, welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Luminara, for having me today.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled because you obviously had your own personal journey and you know so much, and this stuff can help kids on the spectrum. So do you want to just start with how you came to make this?
I can kind of give you my story in a nutshell. I'm still a young guy, but 6 or 7 years ago, I was very young, in my early 20s or mid 20s. And, unfortunately I had some serious health issues that were, affecting me. And, that's all I cared about. They weren't, so bad that I was dying, but they were enough that they were my health issues, and I wanted to look and feel better, and I wanted to feel right. Even though I was young, I was feeling really bad. I had adrenal fatigue. I had terrible acne on my torso. It wasn't on my face or arms, just on my kind of around my internal organs. I had a terrible insomnia and mind racing issues where I would just sit in bed and not be able to fall asleep well. And of course that affected my energy levels in the next day, but also mood issues, a little more negativity and stuff. All the things that I now, in hindsight, understand are associated with adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue. It's all just way too much environmental toxin stress. Our cells degrade over time due to this, and the cells don't work as well together, which means the tissues don't work, and then we get systemic diseases. So I wanted a natural healing solution because the dermatologist wanted me to take Accutane and all the drugs. And those are symptom removal approaches that didn't jive with me logically. I wanted to address the root cause of the problem, and take much more of a natural healing approach. And by natural, I don't mean alternative and less effective. I mean actually lower risk and higher benefit. So it's a higher value if you're an informed consumer and you know what's out there and what's available. So I did a lot of research online, how to naturally detox, and I came across this concept. What you see behind me is my marquee product, the Pocket Sauna, our 4-light panel. That's the heart of it right here. But just to kind of show you close up, this is our single light panel. The heart of the product is a 250 watt incandescent heat lamp. So we call it.
What does that mean? Yeah.
What does that mean? This is the chicken coop lamp. This is Grandpa's bathroom lamp. This is what originally over 100 years ago was used to heal the body, and now we understand there are light therapy benefits associated with it, not just the detox benefits from the heat, but the incandescent light technology has not changed much since 1940. This is very old. What I did is I recognized this old concept, and I built my own sauna, which was a very bricolage version of what you see behind me, 4 lamps, based on a very old sauna book and an old doctor's protocol of how to build a sauna and use a sauna with using incandescent heat lamps. So long story short, I built my own, had this wonderful healing experience. My insomnia literally went away within days, within a couple of sessions.
Wow.
And now I understand science-wise That's nervous system relaxation. So we're stuck in this fight or flight state at the end of the day. That's the exact opposite nervous system gearing as we're supposed to be in for sleep. And so, of course, I wasn't sleeping well, and I was having insomnia because I was stuck in sympathetic dominance. So that was the first effect. That's more of a light therapy effect.
Okay, and I just want to interject right there that a lot of parents who are joining us or maybe watching this after can understand that, because these kids are stuck in fight or flight, a lot of them. So,
they're stuck in fight or flight, but so are all the adults. Everybody is.
True.
We'll talk about the kids more later. They're more vulnerable. They're more sensitive. They're more at risk. But all of us are deeply toxic due to our modern environment and our modern modern man-made EMFs and all these sources of environmental degradation that are man-made, that didn't exist before. So the long and short of my story again is that I built this, and I had immediate results, immediate energy level improvement, immediate curation of my insomnia and mind racing. And then over 6 months or so, I completely ameliorated all of my acne, my energy levels. And then that's when I realized, doing more research, this was adrenal burnout. All of a sudden I looked back and said, wow, I'm more energetic, I'm more positive, I'm less irascible, I'm more able to focus for a long time on one thing, I'm less anxious in social interactions. All these qualitative benefits that, are priceless and changed my life. And through such a simple solution, not just simple technology, but a simple concept that full spectrum light heals us. And it's not just like a part of our life, it's the fundamental ancestral component of our human lives, was to get full spectrum sunlight into every cell of our naked bodies every day.
Because that's how we were ages and ages ago, right?
That's how we were, many thousands, hundreds or thousands of years ago even. We had full spectrum light every day, nervous system relaxation out of fight or flight every night, passive sweating every day, and of course, ancestral diet. So I had such success with this that led to me building a few for friends and for family, and then one thing rolled to another, and it's a nice little bootstrapped American dream story, because I did start out with this building my own with $200, and now 4 years later I've got 15 employees. I have a beautiful product that's lifetime warranted. I've got thousands of customer stories of really every disease on earth, and they're all different diagnoses, that I'm not, of course, qualified to make, but the solution is the same. It's detoxification with full spectrum light, so that we get the full benefits that are inherent in sunlight: heat therapy benefits, light therapy benefits, and of course, in an environment where the electromagnetic fields, the EMFs, are reduced as much as possible. So we're removing all the stresses out of the environment, and we're creating this perfect healing space. That's in a nutshell why this is the best type of sauna, even though most people are not as familiar with it.
Okay. And I just want to go back to something you said. It's like, if you went to the doctor, they'd probably say, oh, we don't find anything wrong with you, is my guess, for a lot of things, or our tests aren't showing anything.
Right. For adrenal fatigue, it's much like being on the spectrum. There's kind of this general diagnosis, and they look at their pharmacopoeia book and they pick a few drugs and they throw them out there, but it's not targeted, it's not specific, and it's part of that conventional approach of symptom removal versus addressing the root cause of the problem.
And it's exactly. I was just going to say, it's not getting at functionally what's happening in the body. So do you want to share some of the science with us, the functionality? You said, within a couple of days, your insomnia was gone and you had this stress, this relaxation response. Do you want to say what, because I know you have some science on your website. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. And so, of course, on saunaspace.com, the sauna therapy page and the science category has my articles and videos. You can read some in-depth stuff, but let's just talk about a few basic things.
Right.
People understand that saunas are good for them for some reason. Wet saunas, far infrared saunas, near infrared saunas, hot tubs, sweat lodges. Every human culture has some sort of sauna heat therapy tradition, and it's for good reason. It's primarily detoxification. When you heat up the cells in the body, you get a detox response. And if we're passively sweating, we get those toxins out as efficiently as possible in the least stressful fashion. There is no more fundamental way the human body detoxifies than through heat therapy and passive sweating. And all the benefits you get in terms of detoxification are coming from heating the cells up a couple of degrees for a couple of minutes. It's called heat shock therapy or sauna therapy. This can be gotten from any heat source. And that's why people confuse and conflate, there's benefits of far infrared, but there's benefits of near infrared, and there's benefits of regular saunas, and it's all the same, and there's benefits of sunlight. All you need is a heat source to heat up the body, and you get those detox benefits. So we want all this, and we want this to be a daily part of our experience. And certainly, if we're going to do heat therapy, then the question becomes, well, which way should I heat my body?
Right.
And I say, well, near infrared. Why near infrared? Why not anything else? Well, wet saunas are very intense for people. They're choking and draining. If you're doing hot tub therapy, you have toxins and chemicals in the water, typically, even in bathtub with tap water. So those are you have side effects, kind of disadvantages of doing heat therapy that way. So using light to heat the body is wonderful because we're not dealing with any of the environmental toxins in the water. Then the question becomes, most people think of infrared saunas as are actually far infrared saunas, the standard cabinet style sauna you see out there. They don't use our heat lamps that are incandescent. They use ceramic far infrared emitters. They're long, skinny tubes, or these black carbon panels you see. That's more the modern version of a far infrared emitter. The difference is a matter of wavelength, number one. Far infrared is very low energy infrared. It's at the far end of the infrared spectrum. That's why it's called far, the lowest energy infrared. And it's also at the far end of water absorption. So this is kind of some high level quantum mechanics, but basically water begins to absorb light in the near infrared band, but it only partially absorbs that. So the greater than 1150 nanometer wavelengths coming from this penetrate your body. And they've been shown to penetrate up to 9 inches. So this heats you radiantly. You sit in front of these lamps and it heats your liver cells immediately. So that's the most efficient way to heat the body of all man-made technologies. That's why farmers use these to heat their chickens. It's the most affordable, most effective way to do that, to heat biological tissue. So what's the difference between these penetrating wavelengths and then the far infrared wavelengths, which are much lower energy than these near infrareds? The difference is that once you get to the far infrared wavelengths at about 6,000 nanometers and greater, 100% absorption of wavelengths by water occurs. So far infrared
water
wavelengths.
In your tissues is
so water in your tissues is when sunlight heats you up. It's heating. It's basically water molecules in your body are absorbing the wavelengths, and it's heating up the tissue. So with far infrared wavelengths, there's not partial water absorption. There's 100% water absorption. So water 100% stops far infrared molecule or far infrared wavelengths. They do not penetrate.
It's taking it all for itself. It's all only going to the water. It's taking it for itself. So it's not
the far infrared wavelength. Far infrared, again, 6,000 nanometers and greater. When it comes into the body, as soon as it hits a water molecule, it stops.
Okay.
Near infrared is less water absorbing. This has to do with the water absorption spectrum. Near infrared has partial water absorption. So some of the near infrared wavelengths get in deeper. That's why we can say that near infrared is a radiant style heating, whereas far infrared, with a maximum of 1 or 2 inches of penetration, as soon as it hits water, it stops. It's really heating you conductively from the outside in.
Okay, so let me make sure, I'm going to summarize in different words, hopefully, because sometimes it takes a few different ways to hear it, at least for me. You're saying that the far infrared goes a couple inches into the skin because the water just stops it from going further. It absorbs it all. But the near infrared, which you're talking about, will some of it gets absorbed in the water, but then it will bypass and then go deeper and deeper into the tissues, like really, 9
Correct.
deep. Okay.
Correct. And you can see there's a NASA study on my website that we linked to where near infrared wavelengths have been shown to penetrate human tissue up to 9 inches, or 23 centimeters. That's very deep penetration. The far infrared wavelengths, which were much lower energy and are 100% absorbed by water, that's never been shown to be the case. And
Okay.
so people say, well, what's the problem with farm fed? There's not necessarily a problem with farm fed. Anytime, if we can just heat the body up, we're doing what we want to. But if we're going to sit there for 20 minutes, why not use a more efficient way to heat the body? Well, that is near infrared, and that is the primary component of the sunlight. Over 40% of the sunlight that reaches the earth is near infrared. This is our primary evolutionary experience. It's primarily with near infrared. Far infrared wavelengths are almost entirely absorbed by the atmosphere. We don't have much evolutionary experience with it. And furthermore, there's another thing we're going to talk about here right now or pretty soon, and that's this concept of light therapy, where it's not just these heating wavelengths that are being absorbed by water that provide these detox benefits. There's this whole other category of therapy from the sunlight that's called light therapy or red light therapy.
Wait, before you go into that.
So we can go into that now. That's something that is exclusive to near infrared. So
okay, one second. Hang on. I'm not sure if you want to do the light therapy thing right now, or if we want to say why penetrating deeper into the cells is going to be beneficial, which makes sense to do. Because I want to hear why going 9 inches into the tissues is going to make
it's a matter of a more efficient way to heat the body. That's all.
Oh, okay.
So it's a more efficient way to heat the body. When you sit in my sauna, these lamps are immediately heating the core cells of your body, which is the point. We want a 3-degree increase in cell temperature in the core. We don't want just detox in our skin superficially. We really want that detox in the core vital organs, deep in the body, 9, 10, 11 inches into the body. So when you sit in front of these lamps, we're immediately heating those core cells instead of waiting for 20 minutes for that conductive heat to come in with a wet sauna or with a farm fed sauna, because again, the water in your body is stopping the farm fed from ever getting in very deep.
Okay, and then when it gets in that deep and it heats the cells 3 degrees, what do you think is happening, to those cells?
So great question. So when you heat up the cells 3 degrees, you produce a heat shock effect. Basically, you activate cellular detoxification. You have heat shock proteins that start to get produced by the nucleus. They make cell detox more efficient. They actually repair proteins that are misfolded and damaged in the cell. So they're like little cellular repairmen that are only activated with the heat shock effect that are normally not working at all. And there's other more esoteric effects, like it improves mitochondrial electron transport, because heating up the mitochondria makes the respiratory proteins get closer together. So the electron transfer, the energy transfer in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, is improved with heat. So you have more, you have more efficient electron transfer, and you have primarily the detox effect with the heat shock proteins, and also with the activating of other aspects of the cell to detox. This is why heat detoxes and why we want to heat up the cell.
Okay, let me see if I can repeat that, because I'm a molecular biologist and you went really fast and I was like, okay, I'm trying to remember. So if I'm going to go just a little bit slower, number one, when you heat the cells to 3 degrees higher, it activates these heat shock proteins, which help with cellular detox. It's a lot more efficient, kind of turns it on. Especially if it's not already doing that, right? That's great. We need that.
Right. You and me sitting here right now, this is not happening. You need to raise cell temperature for 2 or 3 degrees for at least 3 or 4 minutes. And then you get this cell response. It goes into detox mode where it wasn't before.
Okay.
And and then you couple with that the nervous relaxation.
Oh, right. That part.
You need that too, because that puts the body in rest and digest. So it's in a restorative, repairing state. And then
because if you're in fight or flight, you're not going to really be resting enough to.
You don't detox well. So that's like people think that's the difference between being on a treadmill and being in a sauna. A passive sweat is nothing like an exercise sweat. Mm-hmm. A passive sweat has very high toxin concentration, which is what we want. The body's detoxing. When you're on the treadmill sweating, all of your energy is going toward locomotion because you're in sympathetic dominance. You don't have any cellular energy going to repair or detox at all.
Oh, right.
So you're not detoxing at the gym. You're only detoxing if you're passively sweating in the sauna. So we don't want to just heat up the body. We want to sweat passively.
We want to heat it up and relax it at the same time.
We want to heat it up, relax it, and be sweating like crazy.
And then that third thing you mentioned was about the mitochondria. So the mitochondria make ATP, or energy, for the cell. But what we find in a lot of kids with autism is that they have mitochondrial dysfunction. So these cellular mechanisms aren't working very well. And so what we want to do with is to turn on the mitochondria. And it sounds like this is what helps, these heat shock proteins and this relaxation helps to turn on the mitochondria, so that what we have in that, it's called the electron transport chain, that's what makes the energy for the cell. So the more, so you have this happening with the heat. Is that right?
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the light yet, the light therapy yet. But yeah, to finish up the heat therapy, the heat therapy and passive sweating is the most efficient, least stressful means of detoxifying the human body, every cell of the body. It's what everybody needs, including these kids on the spectrum. They need that more than anybody else. They need the safest, least stressful way to detoxify their entire body, not just their legs or their arms, not just their head, all of the internal organs, every cell of the body. Mm-hmm. That's why you need a full body heat therapy product and a product in which you can do passive sweating. And then the other question becomes, well, how can we make the heat therapy work better? How can we make it less stressful? How can we support and foster this heat therapy that we desperately need to detox these kids and on ourselves as well? And that's the light therapy, which is really exciting. I think it's a little less well known, but it's really, it's on the forefront of functional medicine. There's really an explosion in light therapy research, and it all dates back to our ancestral human experience. So let's talk about that for a second. I actually have a slide here that I can screen share.
Yeah, if you go to the bottom of your screen, you got a little green thing. It says screen share. You can click that and share your screen.
So let me see. Can I just share the window? Great.
Just share whatever's on your screen, then you make that pop up. And I just want to say, while you're doing that, that also, not just for kids on the spectrum, it's also for parents who are often quite stressed taking care of their children, and, for everyone in the family. Just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, great. Okay, can you guys?
Yeah, that looks great.
Slide.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So let's talk about light therapy for a second. This is really exciting. This is what we get from the sun. We get light therapy and heat therapy together from an incandescent light source. Of all these man-made light technologies that we have to do sauna or to do light therapy, there's only one that emulates the natural form of light, which is full spectrum light. Full spectrum light looks like this. This chart has a big bell curve with a long tail going off the right side of the page into the lower energy infrared. So you don't see far infrared on this. I'm basically showing you visible light and near infrared. This chart ends at 1500 nanometers, but far infrared is way out there at 6000 nanometers and greater, very low energy. So all of these sauna traditions on Earth, all of these light therapy products, and our product as well, it's all attempts to recreate our billion years of experience with the sun that heals all, that nourishes all life on Earth. And we see now with modern science that we have these incredible cellular systems that leverage not just the heat for detox, the heating wavelengths that, as you see in this chart, the heating wavelengths, I'm calling it the heat therapy band. It starts at 1150 nanometers and goes up from there.
Use your mouse arrow.
Oh, okay, use my mouse. So right here, so from 1150 nanometers going to the right, that's where water absorption starts and increases. So that right hand arrow on the bottom right, from here to here, going off the page, those are the thermal wavelengths. So they're the ones that are absorbed by water. Those are heating you, causing the detox effect. If you look at this, you'll see that this is the actual spectrum of our bulb. This is a little cooler than the sun. So you'll see that the majority of the emission here, the majority of the area under the curve, is in the near infrared band. So that's why we call this incandescent light bulb a near infrared bulb. because most of the energy coming out of it is near infrared. But technically, it's a full spectrum light source. It's giving us visible red light, near infrared, and it's giving us some mid infrared and even a little bit of far infrared. But again, primarily near infrared. That's why we call it near infrared. Any incandescent light bulb does the same thing. This is a 2400 Kelvin bulb, so it's a heat lamp. It's a little cooler than our home incandescent light bulb. The home incandescent light bulbs can be 26 or 2700 Kelvin. It's a little hotter. So their spectrum is a little bit higher energy, but it's basically the same curve. So when, is this a special bulb? Well, it is a special bulb in that it's the only man-made light technology or I guess it's the best. It's the closest thing we can get to sunlight. But this is just the normal incandescent bulb. And we're using a heat lamp version that's very high wattage, and we're using 4 of them in the sauna, so we have a lot of energy here, so we can have a good detox session and get a lot of light in every cell of our body. That's the only reason it's the hot one.
Let me ask you, she said it's a regular incandescent light bulb, with a higher wattage. So if I put a light bulb in my house at home, am I going to get the same effect?
If it's not frosted, you want a clear bulb, and you of course need to be naked, Luminara, because you want light. So that's kind of the difference. People say, well, I don't need this product. I can get out. I go out in the sun every day. But are you naked out there? Because you need the light into your guts. That's what heals you. So if you are out there naked, then you're doing it. But most people are not. So to recreate our experience with the sun, we use this light source. That's a full spectrum light source to get our heat therapy and our light therapy in a natural form, as close as we can get to sunlight, but actually with a few advantages that you don't get from sunlight. If you look at the curve on the screen, you see that there's no purple, no blue. The purple is ultraviolet. So there's literally no ultraviolet from this bulb, and the tiny amount of blue that's emitted by the burning filament is filtered out by the red glass. That's why we use red glass. So when we filter out the red glass, this is the curve that we get. So we don't get any blue or any UV.
So you're not getting any harmful light rays.
Yes. Basically, there are some evolutionary adaptations to UV and blue light, but there's no question that they're killing us. They're very high energy wavelengths from the sun. They're killing us, but at least from the sunlight, we're getting healed at the same time with red near infrared. So blue UV is killing us. Red near infrared is regenerating us. In this bulb, we don't get any blue or UV. UV is mutagenic. It causes, it denatures our DNA, so it has mutagenic effects. Over time, it causes photochemical burn. And then blue, of course, messes with our sleep cycle if we get it after dark. And that's the problem with blue screens, LED lighting, fluorescent lighting, our smartphones. These are blue-only light sources that mess with our sleep cycle. They're messing with our body's circadian rhythm, our chronobiology. So we don't want that necessarily in the sauna, and that's why, since we don't have that with our heat lamps, we can be in there. We can use this product right before bed.
Okay, I was wondering about that. I was purposefully not using it right before bed because I thought that I didn't want to get more light before I went to bed when it was dark out.
Right. So that was my solution. Is it doesn't mess with your sleep cycle, but it does. Okay. The light therapies, which we'll talk about in a second, is very helpful for nervous system relaxation. So that's why it cured my insomnia, in my opinion. And I was using it every night right before bed, and 2 or 3 days of every night before bed, and my insomnia almost completely went away. And this is why. The light therapy calms the nerve system, what's called mitochondrial stimulation. So all that to say that this is the most natural form of light. And because we're getting near infrared, we're heating up the body better. And we're getting light therapy benefits too from the very high energy near infrared red wavelengths that we don't get in a far infrared sauna, period.
Okay, I have a quick question, and might not be relevant to what you've studied. Is that so when you say we're looking at the spectrum and you don't have the blue light because that's canceled by the red, and you don't have the UV, my understanding is that, and I don't know if it's exactly the UV that activates the vitamin D production in our bodies. So is this lamp, do you know, also going to help with vitamin D production, or is that part of the wavelength cut out? So it's not going to have an effect?
Great question. The answer is no.
Okay.
Vitamin D production is coming from UVB, I believe.
Okay.
And that is a good source of vitamin D. But if you follow Dr. Jack Cruz and the like, the opinion out there is that you need a good 2 or 3 hours of sunlight into every cell of your body in a naked body to get enough vitamin D for it to be like sufficient for your daily nutritive needs.
Okay.
Nobody's getting that. So, and the best thing, again, if you follow the quantum light guys, is to get sunlight in the morning, not sunlight all day long. And again, in a naked body. So how do you do that in Minneapolis when it's really cold out? It's not practical. I think the practical solution is my product, is get the closest thing to natural sunlight, and not have any of the problematic issues you have with blue and UV, and be able to use it an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening for the rest of your life in the comfort of your home, in your basement. Literally have the sun in your bedroom at your whim when you need it, and not have to, and just live your modern life where you go to work and you're clothed, and you have all the stresses from modern life and the environment, but you get home and you heal with the sun in your home.
Right.
And that is what light, that is what full spectrum light does. So just a little bit on the light therapy now. Well, we still have the chart up.
Okay.
So light therapy is right here. I'll try to highlight it with my finger. So light therapy is right here. 600 to 1,000 nanometer wavelengths. This has a lot of fancy names, and they all refer to the same thing. I'll just list them off. Red light therapy, photobiomodulation, photobiology, near-infrared light therapy. These are all names for the same concept. We're using light to activate biological systems. And primarily in the body, that is the mitochondria. Mitochondria, it's not just a powerhouse of the cell, and this is really relevant, I think, to the audience here. It's not just an energy creator. It is the healer of the cell. It is the ultimate cellular repairman. The original agreement between the prokaryotic cell and the mitochondria 2 billion years ago, or whatever it was, when they came together, was not just, hey, Mr. Mitochondria, you produce energy for me and I'll protect you. What the prokaryotic cell actually said was, hey, Mr. Mitochondria, you're going to produce energy for me and you're going to fix me when I'm broke. And in return, I'll protect you. And that's what we see now with light therapy. When we shine any of these wavelengths from 600 to 1,000 nanometers, basically, on cells, on the mitochondria, they get absorbed by this special light receptor protein, and they activate all of these amazing healing systems in the cell, including epigenetic repair. So we're repairing the genes, which is anti-aging, which makes the cell function more optimally and better and younger. We have direct effects, including nitric oxide release, so vasodilation, better blood flow. We have increased cell metabolism, so we have more energy for the cell to do whatever it's doing. And then we also see other indirect effects like production of inflammatory mediators. So we see cellular and tissular inflammation reduction just with the light, not even with the heat. So imagine the cell, with the light therapy, you're activating this mitochondria as a cellular healer. He's repairing the genes, inflammatory mediating, promoting cellular regeneration, boosting cell energy, doing all these things. What are you doing in addition to that? You're doing the heat therapy, and you're just sitting there, passively sweating. So all of this extra healing and energy is supporting and fostering the detox. It's making that more efficient. That is the natural synergy of full spectrum light therapy that you don't get from farm-fed saunas, and you don't get from LED light therapy only products. You only get that from, in terms of human, man-made products, near-infrared lamp sauna, which is a
that's interesting. It's interesting. All those things you said are what's, I think functional medicine doctors would agree are the root causes of pretty much all our chronic diseases going on today, right? The inflammation, the cellular metabolism errors, the epigenetic errors.
Yeah. And they have a lot of acronyms and names for all of these things, and people love to get their diagnosis and get their tests and see, get their test results back. It's all cellular degradation. It's all cell malfunctioning due to cellular degradation. More and more toxic load comes in, and the genes, the blueprint of the body, the DNA is, or the blueprint of the cell is not being read well. it's not making itself right, and eventually major systems start to break down. So it's not just a matter of detoxing. We want to reverse the damage in the cell, and that's why we need the light therapy. We're not only going to detox the person, we're going to anti-age them, and that doesn't mean the skin or only the skin. We're talking about anti-aging every cell of the body, making the kidneys and the bones and the liver work more, making the nerves work better. This is particularly relevant for folks, dealing with kids on the spectrum, or even just in general, people dealing with neuropathies and neurological issues. We can regenerate nerve tissue. We can restore overall nervous system functioning, and we see that in the studies, dramatic results with the light therapy, with this mitochondrial stimulation stuff. But we also know that we see it from the heat. There's a study out there where they improve motor system functioning in spinal cord victims with heat therapy. There's the internal medicine study the study was released in Internal Medicine a year and a half ago. It was a 20-year study on Finnish males. And of course, the guys that were using sauna 7 days or every day were living drastically longer longevity, reduced cardiac death, reduced risk of cardiac disease, all these things. And the guys that were doing sauna every day were proportionally living longer and healthier than the guys that were doing it 3 days a week, and all of them much more than the guys that weren't doing sauna. And all of those benefits in that study are just from the heat. So again,
right. Not even
bring in the light, bring in the heat, and you're magnifying, you have a force multiplier here that's this synergy between the two that we got at the same time. And that's what I think is the strongest argument for using this type of sauna versus any other type of sauna, is that that's our evolutionary experience. Up until some of these up until 50 years ago, every cell of our body always experienced heat shock and mitochondrial stimulation together in an alliance of light and heat. In our modern arrogance, we're trying to fractionate and divorce these things out so that, I just need this and I just need that. No, we don't want synthetic vitamin C powder. We want the synergy of the orange, of the natural form. And you were there at the conference, at the talk conference, Luminara. I mean, how does it feel? It feels amazing.
Yeah. Do you want to unshare your screen so we can see you at this point? Because I think you did the light thing. Yes, I sat in the sauna there, and it was, I sat in a special sauna, which I'm sure you can talk about in a little bit. The one that I sat in actually had a silver fabric sewn into it, which was also an EMF protector. So in the one you see behind you, the little little box, the little room, it had this special silver lining. Sounds funny, but silver lining built in, and so I sat in there and talked with you for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then when I got out, I could feel the EMF that you're at a trade show and there's all these phones and there's all this AV equipment, and then I could feel it. But when I was in there, I really felt like it was a totally relaxing experience. I have a couple questions that came up while you're talking, and I'm guessing others might have these questions. So you referred to a lot of times that you want to be naked. So when you go in the sauna, are you naked so you can get the benefit of the heat and the light? Yeah,
for both, for the heat to penetrate, you need to be naked. For the light therapy wavelengths to get in deep, of course, you need to not be blocked. You do not have any clothing on, at the very least the torso. So there's nothing wrong with wearing some gym shorts or some underwear or a towel, but you want at least the torso exposed. You want to get this healing energy into the gut, into the vitals.
That's the most important part.
And the most important part. But I do recommend that you be entirely naked. You put a towel on the stool and a towel on the floor, and this is in your home. This is not some gym sauna. This is in the privacy of your home. So one would hope that you could be secure enough in your own home to do natural healing as it's intended. So yes, ideally naked, but not necessarily, at least exposing the torso.
Okay. And then someone else had a question here. She said, can someone tell us if someone with both bleeding disorders and mitochondrial dysfunction can do the infrared sauna? So you talked about vasodilation. is that going to be an issue with someone who has a bleeding disorder?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, I'm not a healthcare provider. I'm not allowed to give medical advice. But I would say that I have a large component of my customer base of people who have the product are very, very toxic with serious diseases. And we're talking about the worst stuff on earth here. And the people who are the weakest and have to start really slowly with even this most gentle style of sauna on earth are the neuropathic people. People with fibromyalgia and MS and tachycardia and these other classifications that they're very heat sensitive. They're very toxic, very weak. They're very hypersensitive to everything. So those folks will do what's called just a reduced protocol. Instead of doing a nice 20 or 30-minute session in here with rotation after a 10-minute preheat and using 3 or 4 lamps, they do a reduced protocol. No preheat, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes to start out. Maybe the curtain's open. Maybe they only use 2 lamps. I even had a customer once that had to sit in front of the sauna with no cover on it. And she could only do that 3 minutes a day for like 2 months or something like that. And then she was finally able to, improve mitochondrial functioning, detox enough that she came around. And they all come around. And that's, 5,000 or 6,000 customers now. And some of them are, in the worst way possible. And everybody slowly comes around. So if I was someone that had the 2 issues that you just mentioned, the question you just mentioned, I would start out with just very, very limited use and ease the way into it. And that's
the other thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the other piece that comes to my mind in support of what you're saying is that if you think about what the sauna is doing, right? It's helping the mitochondria and it's helping with inflammation. It sounds like it's kind of righting the wrongs of the body, right? So whatever the body's kind of doing mistakenly or wrong, it's helping to correct that at a real most basic level. So even if someone has this bleeding disorder, I'm guessing, and this isn't advice, but I'm guessing that what you said with this very limited protocol to start, you're going to start bringing sort of system like cellular processes back online as you use it very slowly. And it might take 2 months, it might take 6 months, right? But
but it does work, and most importantly, it's very safe and very methodical. And we are just activating innate, intelligent healing systems. That's what's so wonderful
it's
about
like going out in the sun too, right? It's just like going out in the sun.
It's just like that, and there's literally no known side effect of exposing near infrared light, low level light therapy to biological tissue. And with the heat therapy, the only concern is to not overheat. That's why it's called heat shock therapy. So we get in, we do our session, we activate the healing systems, let the body heal, and then we come in the next day. And it's very safe. You talk about the nitric oxide release and the improved blood flow. When you have vasodilation, you get more blood flow, but you have bigger pipes because it's vasodilating. So you don't increase blood pressure. And in fact, heat therapy, repeated heat therapy over time has been shown to reduce resting blood pressure. So we have, to really sum it up, it's just exactly what you said. It's this really safe way to get the body to heal itself.
Yeah.
And all we're doing is sitting there, and it's just so lazy to sit on your lazy button here and enjoy this and have all these, benefits at your convenience. And if we can just couple that, in my opinion, my humble opinion, if you can couple that with an ancestral diet and ancestral lifestyle choices, we can heal anything.
Yes. And now I know when I was at the TACA conference where I met you, you spoke a little bit about the structure and the non-toxicity and the no EMF. So, for example, like you can't see it from, because it's the canvas is covering, but the frame is made of bamboo. Like there's no metal. So can you talk about, and this is relevant to someone's question, says, can you please clarify if there's any Teflon coating toxics from the lamp or anything coating on the lamp or EMFs? Talk about this. So let's talk about, we talk a lot about the science. Let's talk about practical product solutions, because who cares about the science if we can't leverage it for our benefit? Number one, no, we do not use Teflon coated bulbs. Absolutely not. The only reason to coat a bulb with Teflon or a silicone coating is to make it more shatter resistant.
there's no need for that in this, and there's a lot of toxic off-gassing issues with that, so we don't use that. Absolutely not. And you would never use that. But more than that, it's not just the bulb that's non-toxic. So this is just a glass bulb, and there's no mercury in it either. People get sometimes confused by the different light products out there. Mercury bulbs are fluorescent bulbs only. Fluorescent bulbs, the long tubes in our offices, those operate on mercury vapor. So it's mercury vapor inside that's producing the light. The incandescent bulb doesn't have any mercury in it. And there used to be a tiny little bit of lead in the brass base, but it's all RoHS compliant, as of, a long time ago. They're lead free, and there's never been any mercury ever in an incandescent bulb. And the gas inside is an inert gas like argon. So it's very safe. And even if it smashes and shatters, you just have glass to clean up. There's no chemical issues at all. But yes, we're heating up our materials here. You have off-gassing that occurs where small molecules of the material come off, and you can breathe them in and absorb them. So, of course, we want to minimize that by not using any chemical treatments and not using any chemically derived materials, or as much as we can. So our canvas is a special water scoured canvas. So we take our yarn and we wash it with hot water several times, and that cleans it out and makes it very hydrophobic, and it has no smell to it, and it's very it's less odor absorbing, and yet it's also machine washable. So it's a very beautiful, durable product that I've never had a chemical sensitivity reaction for, and thousands of customers with this current special canvas that we've been using for about 2.5 years. All of the wood components are actually basswood. So it's the lowest wood oil content wood species on earth. So it's ideal for sauna use because people with extreme chemical sensitivity can react to wood oils and cedar and pine, which are high wood oil woods. So if we're going to use the best wood, it's going to be basswood. So our frame, poles, our stool, our light panel, all of the wood componentry is solid, untreated basswood. So the best of the best. The floor is an unvarnished bamboo, so it's just heat pressed bamboo. There's no chemicals that are introduced to it, and it brings it has a nice feng shui. I don't know, you can kind of see it in the Zoom camera, but it gives it a nice beachy feel inside. But that's also very natural, untreated. And then finally, the hardware is all chrome steel. So it's not powder coated. It's not painted. There's no off-gassing that occurs at all from steel. We're keeping chemical treatments out of this, and we're bending over backwards basically to make this hypoallergenic, because we don't want to retox. We don't want to deal with more toxins that we're trying to detox. So it's very hypoallergenic, and it's also wonderfully built. It's handmade here in Missouri with a lifetime warranty. Everything comes with a 100-day product trial. So if you don't like it, just send it back. It's okay. We refund the money. But that kind of leads me. You asked about EMFs too, I believe. What
about, is it emitting EMFs while you sit in?
Right. So great question. That's another issue of environmental toxicity. What about EMFs? And this is kind of also in the forefront of everybody's mind. EMFs, people try to dumb down EMFs, and you can't. They're tricky. You have electric fields and magnetic fields. So first, magnetic. The magnetic field rating on this product right here, if you can see, the switch is right here. Mm-hmm. So you can measure 1 or 2 milligauss. If I had my tri-field meter, I don't think I have it in here, but you can measure 1 or 2 milligauss right here if you hold the meter right on the switch. So it's a very low reading, milligauss we're talking about, so very low reading. Once you get 3 or 4 inches from the switch, you can no longer measure magnetic field from the product. That means that the user, that's even with the single light panel sitting very close, or with the 4 light panel in the product, they don't experience that magnetic field at all, period. So that's a beauty of the incandescent technology. It's actually very low magnetic field. Mm-hmm. And you can compare that to far infrared products. So kind of to circle back to what we talked about in the beginning, what are the problems of far infrared wavelengths? It's not the wavelengths that's a problem. It's the emitter technology. The emitter technology is very high EMF, and that's both magnetic and electric. And if you measure a far infrared emitter that's not shielded, it'll measure 30 to 50 milligauss right on the grill, which is what your back's on. So we're talking, a couple orders of magnitude here greater than what we're dealing with here. And that's right on your back. That's right where you're putting your back, right against the grill of the farm fruit emitter. So very high magnetic, but that's only half of the story. And that's what's a little bit, I think, misleading story you get from the farm-fed sauna manufacturers out there, is when they say they're low EMF, they're only talking about magnetic. It's in fact the electric field that's, the magnetic is stressful on the body. These are stressors on the body. We don't want them in our sauna in our sauna space. But the electric field stress has actually been shown to be more stressful on the body. So if we're going to deal with anything, we better be dealing with the electric fields that leak out. Anytime you have an electrified device, any current that's running through it, you have electric fields that basically electrify all the materials around it in a very low level. And even these low level voltages irritate the body and stress us out. And as you know, and as this community knows, people are EMF sensitive. They get headaches, they get migraines. They can't go near sources of high electric field at all. So we absolutely need to address that in the product. With farm-fed emitters, the electric field rating can be many hundreds, if not getting up to the 1,000 volts per meter. That's pretty high electric field, and they're not even talking about that. So let's talk about that with my product. It's actually pretty straightforward to neutralize and shield electric fields. We use metal, and we ground that metal. So the product here has an electrically shielded power cord. So it has foil in the power cord to shield the power cord, which you can't see. The internal guts of the light panel are also internally shielded with a kind of a proprietary shielding system I've developed. So we're shielding all the internal wiring. We're shielding the power cord. And then the most important thing, what about the bulb? The filament has a current running through it that's producing the light, and that's leaking electric fields out the front. That's why this entire lamp cage that's our own proprietary design is also grounded. That makes this a Faraday cage. So when we close this door, no electric field is being emitted here, even though, or is getting out of the cage, even though the full spectrum light is, of course. So we're getting the
so somehow that cage contains it.
So the cage is not just to protect you from touching the bulb so you don't burn yourself. It's protecting you from the small electric field that's in the bulb too. So we're not experiencing any electricity from this device, even though it's electric. That's pretty incredible. Of course, ideally for sauna, we wouldn't have that at all, and we don't. And that's another advantage of not just near infrared, but I mean, kind of my product and my hard work here, 4 or 5 years of development, is to deal with all these issues, including electric field. So that's why near infrared's better. It's inherently low magnetic, and if you can shield the componentry through good design solutions like I have, you don't experience any EMF issues from the product at all.
That's excellent.
But that doesn't address the electric fields coming from without. The low frequency electric fields are the wiring in the house. The high frequency electric fields are the wireless and the cellular, and these are very damaging. So what do we do about that? Well, that's what you tried out at Taka. That's a new prototype.
That was the silver lining, right?
Yeah, that's a new prototype concept. So very interesting product. It's coming out in January. We've been working really hard on it. Just going into the final phase of production here in the next 2 months. The new product is called the EMF Sanctuary. So not just is the guard itself a Faraday cage to protect you from electric fields, the entire sauna enclosure, all 5 sides, the curtain, the ceiling, and the floor, uses a combination of high frequency blocking fabric and low frequency grounding fabric to block all the sources of electric field, which is why I said this EMF stuff is tricky. There's not just one solution. It's actually a combination solution to be able to prevent all types of man-made electric fields from coming in. And so what you add in is that special product that's coming out soon, where there's no study on it, of course, yet, but clearly the detoxification and the benefits are more impactful in there, where you're getting a break from that constant Wi-Fi cellular stress and stuff that we get every day and we never get a break from.
Yeah. Remind me afterwards. I have a couple people I think you should talk to about that, who would be interested in that. But we're having some questions pop up. That's awesome, and I love that one with the special electromagnetic frequency blocking. That's the one I want to get, and the full one. And so one quick question around that is like, yeah, you're protected when you go inside that, but you're not really protected when you go outside, because then we're hit with all the high frequencies and low frequencies, right? So it's kind of a little sanctuary while you're in there.
It is, and yeah, it's a greater conversation, of course.
Yeah.
They're rolling out 5G that already exists in downtown LA. We don't even have consumer meters to test for that because that's beyond 8 gigahertz. It's so high frequency, so powerful, it's insane. It's going to make all of us EMF sensitive. But the solution is not to escape from it, because you won't be able to. The solution is to shield yourself from it, to protect yourself from it. Right. And so, it starts with minimizing, your exposure to electric fields and EMFs, and also to other damaging things in your environment. Blue light, like when I'm sitting here at the screen, when I work at the computer, I wear blue blockers all day long to minimize the blue light from the screen. I'm also working with this bad boy right here, close to me, giving me my full spectrum light therapy to reverse the damage from all this stressful computer work and relax me as I'm getting all stressed out by.
Okay, but the really important question is, do you do it naked?
Well, you can only see the top half of my body. You don't know if I have pants on or not, do you?
Wait. I know before we started recording, I asked you about those glasses. Where can we get some? Because I work at the computer all day, and I'm sure a lot of people do. And
that's a great question.
Where do we get those?
When I don't wear my contacts, I have my prescription glasses, have a built-in blue blocker filter, but there's no color. There's no color. It's just so you don't see it, but blocking blue light. So you can get those from online prescription eyeglass suppliers very cheaply, for less than $100, and you can get it built in with your prescription for those of you that wear glasses. For those of you who don't, and you just want the blue blocker, this is the brand I like best. It's the Swanwick. They're called Swanwick, or if you just Google Swannies, they're kind of they're the sexier blue blockers that are out there. But you can get cheaper ones as cheap as $20 or $30 on Amazon that look like gamer glasses, and they're yellow tinted. They're all called blue blockers, widely available. I highly recommend it for any computer work over 5 minutes in duration, or phone. Also with your phone, just put them on. Have a couple pairs around, one at home, one at work. Wear them as much as you can. That's a great, quick, biohack to reduce your blue light exposure. And there's other couple things, if you can't shield your entire home or your everywhere you live from EMFs, you can at least mitigate your EMFs. My home is not shielded. I have a high EMF home just like everybody else. I have I just found out actually I have a smart meter that I haven't taken off. But I turn off my breakers at night. So I haven't put in all these grounding systems and shielding products in the house. I just flip the breaker off at night, and we sleep voltage free in terms of electricity. And that's a simple thing to do. There's other things you can do, like, I know it's not as convenient, but put in wired internet. If you put in wired internet and not have to use your Wi-Fi, it's the Wi-Fi is particularly disturbing to the children. There's a study I just read where when they made a EMF canopy for babies, they showed that the nodal cord, like the neural tree development, was much better in the babies that were sleeping in cribs that had basically EMF canopies on them. It's clearly highly related to all of our dysfunctioning nowadays is this EMF stuff. So I think in the autism community, they know a lot about chemical exposure and environmental stuff, different heavy metals and different sources of toxins. But we really need to talk about EMF as the primary source of damage. It's the EMF that's so damaging to humans so early in life, babies and fetuses, young children, and at the very least, turn off your Wi-Fi and put in wired internet. And then the second step is to get a grounding mat underneath your mattress that's grounded into the wall. an EMF that deals with the electricity from the house. And then if you have more money, you can build yourself a high frequency canopy to block the wireless, and the cellular from coming in from outside.
Right. There are some of those available. I know Peter Sullivan at, I think it's Clearwire Solutions. I can't remember exactly, but if you Google Peter Sullivan.
There's a few out there, and there's some fabrics out there that you can get. So it's definitely a new space, but at the very least, in your sauna, you ought to be EMF free for the maximum detox. And when you're sleeping at home, or wherever you are all the time. Yeah. And then the final comment I make on like a really simple solution to improve your home and office environment is to get rid of your LED lighting and get rid of your fluorescent lighting and go back to incandescent. Yeah. They're so affordable to buy. Who cares that they don't last 20,000 hours? You replace them, they cost 25 cents a piece. They're totally non-toxic for the environment. When they break, there's no mercury explosion where you have to call a hazmat team like you do with fluorescent. And the LEDs are very damaging because they're a bunch of blue light. Right. It's damaging blue light that's hidden and you don't see it, but it's there, and it's highly irritating to the body.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because if I'm looking at LED lights versus incandescent, I'm always going to get incandescent. It just feels bad in my body, and I don't feel harmed, but it feels bad. So there's a few questions that I really want to just zip through. Someone asking if the sauna is available in Abu Dhabi and Pakistan, and I know that you ship international. Do you want to say something about that?
Yes, absolutely. We ship to every country on earth. Okay. To most international countries like Abu Dhabi, it's FedEx only. Any product that you want to buy, you can add to our cart on saunaspace.com, and you just put your country and zip code in there. Yes, we routinely ship. Actually, you'd be surprised. We routinely ship to the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, as well as kind of the Western European countries and Australia and such. We send a lot of product to the Middle East.
Okay. So I just want to say, too, that since I'm a distributor for Sauna Space, and you can certainly go to saunaspace.com and buy one, but through December 24th, if you buy it through me, I'm giving a $300 discount on the Sauna Space, the one you see behind you, to our right, to your left, and the pocket sauna is what you call it. And then the single lamp that you showed. Now you have yours on a moving lamp. You want to bring that back into vision so we can see the single lamp.
Yeah, and I can turn the monitor maybe a little bit. So
sure. Not $300 off on that one. $300 off on the big one, and 10%, which I think is $35 off on this one.
If you see the back, it has the standard VESA mounts. These are monitor arm mounts. So this single light panel will mount on any computer monitor arm on Earth. There's ones that clamp to the table, ones that mount to the wall. There's freestanding ones on wheels. It's just a very convenient way to use this product. So that's kind of what's nice about kind of the setup that you can see in my office here. And we're in the factory, by the way. This is not like made somewhere else. I mean, I come to work every day and I work with everybody here in production and design, and it's all right behind me and next door. But you see the whole catalog here. Basically, this is the full body product, the marquee product, the best thing for daily use. If you already have a cabinet sauna, you don't need my enclosure, although it's more convenient and thoughtful. You can buy just the 4-light panel, and you just plug and play in your far infrared sauna. Don't use the far infrared. Use the low EMF near infrared. Have better, just a much better experience. And that's at a third of the price of the full body product. And then what we were just looking at is the single light. This is for targeted therapy. It's not full body. It's used for relief of any localized affliction. So we're targeting that area. We're keeping it close, like 12 to 24 inches away. And we're doing like brief sessions of 10 minutes to 50 minutes even. We limit it to 10 minutes on the head, and it comes with a product manual and stuff. But basically, people are using this for headaches and gut pains and neuropathies and eczemas and menstrual cramping and just really anything that's kind of localized. You can really emphasize that during the day when you're at the office, when you're on the couch, in between your sauna sessions. Right.
I've been loaning mine to a friend who had tore one of his ligaments in his knees, and that's been helping him a lot. So that's cool. So I have there's someone here who's asking, she knows you can't give advice, but she's been looking at 3 different saunas for her kids. I'd like some info on children. So experience about children using this. What have you seen?
Great. Yeah. So for liability reasons, it's contraindicated for children under the age of 5. I think every parent makes the choice in what to do with their children. I have a 5-year-old son. I have a 1-year-old baby. My 5-year-old son actually has the flu right now. He got it from school. And so he's been in the sauna every night for 10 minutes. So little kids just use it for less time. Once you become like 7 or 8 or 9 years old, you can do basically the adult protocol. But I even take and this is my choice. I take my 1-year-old baby in there for 2 minutes, and I just hold him up to the light, and that's all he needs. So they absolutely benefit from it. We just want to supervise them and limit duration. And that is in the product manual, but a couple other comments on doing this with children. This product, there's only 1 stool in there right now. I wish I had another one, but it actually fits 2 stools, as you saw, Luminara, at the show. You can absolutely, a mother or a father and their child can sit there at the same time. You can supervise them. You can both do the sauna together to make it more fun and enjoyable, make it a little more social for the child especially. And you can do some other things too. The switches are individual, or the bulbs are individually controlled by the switches. So I can turn off the top bulb, and that panel is height adjustable. It can drop it down to the floor, and you can sit on the floor and play a game with your child while you're in there. So it's, you don't have to sit on the stool. You can sit on the floor, whether you're sitting with your child or sitting in yoga pose. You can also turn down the lamps to use 1, 2, 3, or 4 lamps, so that in the beginning, it's more enjoyable for them. If they're the type of child that really needs something in their hands, they're really tactile, they need to be occupied in order to keep them still in there. There's nothing wrong with bringing something in that they can occupy themselves, as long as the Wi-Fi is turned off. There's nothing wrong with them, playing a game on a phone or an iPad. Just turn the Wi-Fi off, and that will get them to be in there. And the light itself will get them to be in there. The light is naturally
calming. They'll calm down. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does work. And I perceive, you feel it, whether you're on the spectrum or not. You definitely experience that over time. We want them to eventually sweat in there, but initially we just want to get them in there and get some of that light and heat on their bodies for 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, follow up to the question on shipping to Pakistan, and I think I talked to you about this, the voltage. You take care of voltage for the other countries. You match it to the country you're sending to.
Yeah, well, that's another wonderful advantage of the incandescent lamp. There's no transformer here. The only difference between an American customer and a Saudi Arabian customer is the light bulb itself. So we use either 120 volt rated bulbs for America and Canada, or we use 240 volt rated bulbs for anywhere else on Earth. And then the other thing we do is
220 as well.
Yeah, so 220 to 240, that's a 240 volt rated lamp. And we call that the international bulb. And we also ship with international power cords. So any international customer just chooses their plug and voltage of preference. There's 5 options, and they get that shipped to them. And what's really nice is if they ever move, that goes with them. They swap out the power cord and the bulbs, which are all removable, and they have the American product. This is a worldwide voltage compatible product. It's just a changing of the bulbs, basically. Okay.
And then, so this is kind of a 3-part question. I think I know the answer. She's asking, is it good to drink water before, during, or after the sauna? Does it matter that you've noticed?
No, it does. It does. Certainly when you sweat, you lose water. You want to replenish that. So it's recommended to drink a glass of spring water before and after. And a couple other things I should add so people understand. You sit in here, quarter turn rotations until you sweat, and you want to get a nice sweat. Then afterward, you get out and go in your shower, and you scrub off every square inch of your body with a big natural bristle brush. And that exfoliation gets the toxins off your skin that they're kind of clinging to your dead skin cells, and it feels wonderful. Soap, soap and shampoo is optional. It's much more important to just scrub under the rinsing water. Get that stuff off your body. So you do that after the session. and ideally kind of relax a little bit after the session, not jump back up into the daily stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't want to eat beforehand. You don't want a lot of metabolism and blood flow to your stomach. So don't eat a heavy meal beforehand. Drink a glass of water beforehand, and then do the scrub off in the shower afterward with another glass of water. And of course, you're detoxing here, so you want to support your body with natural food.
Well, that's the other question. Part of the question.
Okay.
Is she asks, what do people take anything during or after the sauna, like zeolite, activated charcoal, chlorella? I mean, not that you're giving advice, but what have you?
Yeah. I can't give advice, but the world, sort of the preeminent proponent of near-infrared sauna therapy, this type of sauna, is this guy, Dr. Lawrence Wilson, MD. He's an unlicensed medical doctor based in Arizona. He recommends to anybody and everybody they take a kelp supplement for microminerals if they're not on some kind of nutritional balancing program, some kind of targeted supplement program. Everybody needs to decide for themselves what feels good. Some people are meat eaters, some people like paleo, some people say no vegan. Everybody's different. Everybody needs to find that sweet spot of what is good for them, and do that. As long as it's natural food and not industrial food, you're way ahead of the game. But I will say something about chelators. I don't have much experience with, obviously not personally, with chelators like chlorella and stuff. At least if you're going to do chelation, if I was going to do chelation, I would do natural chelation like chlorella versus synthetic chelators. But that's kind of the difference between what we're doing here in sauna and passive sweating versus chelation. Chelation kind of strips out everything. It binds to everything, and it's considered to be much more stressful on the body because you're pulling everything out, that's including good minerals and stuff too. With sauna, you're activating the body's own detox and healing system, so it's intelligently taking out the toxins and leaving in the good minerals as much as possible. That's why, in general, doing detox this way with the near-infrared sauna is less stressful and more efficient. And I would say much less dangerous than chelation in general. So it's up to you and your healthcare provider what you're doing with chlorella and stuff in addition, but I would try it without it.
Well, I want to say something about that. And I don't see chlorella and activated charcoal necessarily as chelators, because I see them as binders, and they stay really in the gut. And so if you're amping up your detox, that's going to be kind of the catchment system in the gut. Personally, not that I'm giving advice, but personally, I take chlorella and activated charcoal all the time. And so those are things that I would probably use in sauna. Zeolite can be a little bit more of a chelator, depending if it goes around in the body, depending on what form you're taking.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you entirely. Like, if you're going to do that, I think chlorella and activated charcoal, because they're benign, they're natural.
Yeah, right.
They've been really well tested out there. I myself, I know that if I have a long night, if I go out and, have a lot of night and have some drinks, activated charcoal is key for me in the morning after my sauna session. But a quick hangover fix, even quicker than the activated charcoal, is actually the sauna or the single lamp. It gives you a little It really, it also B vitamin too. I get a little jittery sometimes with B vitamins. So,
okay.
But yeah, I don't think they're dangerous if they're used, in moderation, but definitely, yeah, go ahead.
But you had a good point. Check with whoever's helping you, your nutritionist or your healthcare provider. Just double check with them, because your body best, and they will have been, looking after you as well. And then the last thing, and I'm pretty sure I know this answer, is it good to have physical activity before to maximize the sauna effect? And I imagine that would heat your body and get you in sympathetic mode. And what you're trying to do here is go into parasympathetic mode. So what do you think about physical exercise?
Well, I think ideally, if we were doing physical activity, it's really intense stuff like sprinting, and not long-term stuff like running, where we get ourselves into sympathetic dominance and we stay there for a long time. Doing short sprints and short, quick, vigorous activities, very beneficial for the body. But it's all about your lifestyle and your approach. If you're a person that works out and goes to the gym, then you're in sympathetic dominance. When you're done, absolutely do the sauna after the gym. Okay. So you go do your gym workout or do your run or do your thing, and come back, get in your sauna, to help your body do nervous system relaxation, help detox from lactic acid, help, the light therapy benefits include accelerating wound and muscle healing. So you're fixing those micro tears in your muscles. It's a huge benefit to use the sauna after exercise if you're a person that does exercise.
Okay, her other thought was also just to do the physical activity to get the lymph drainage, so it's like the lymph vessels open. I think that was.
Yeah, but that's what the heat does too. The heat is going in, basically liquefying your body. With some we can't even talk about during this conversation, but this concept of structured water, that the cells don't have regular water, these little pools of water. You have this structured, intelligent state of water that the cells are trying to create, and the toxins interfere with the structure, but the light therapy has added benefits to that. It increases water nutrient delivery. It structures water. It's all these other effects that near-infrared light does on the body that we haven't talked about much, but they're out there. The mitochondria talks to the nucleus with near-infrared wavelengths, intracellular communication. There's even a study that's been shown that the cell can neutralize a cellular free radical by grabbing it and ejecting a puff of near-infrared light from the cell. So it's neutralizing free radicals, doing like all these incredible things that we still very poorly understand. Right. And but it all makes sense. That's our ancestral human experience. It's near infrared. It's full spectrum. Right. It's what works.
I can tell you've done so much research, and because I've researched a lot of the things that you're talking about too, not so much the light stuff that but it's really amazing, your knowledge base, and thank you so much for sharing all this with us. I think this is like a super fantastic overview of sauna and why near infrared, and I love how you keep coming back to this is what we did ancestrally. This is what basically the human body sort of learned in, growing up through the however many thousands or millions of years. So, thank you so much. I want to just say, I'm going to type into the chat box now. I think I am. Some information. So one is the website where you can go and find a little bit. This is my website where you can go and find information. Because as I said earlier, I distribute the saunas, and you can go to saunaspace.com to order one. Or if you want to order through me, we have through December 24th, $300 off the sauna pocket, which is the canvas covered little room there, and $35 off the single lamp. And you can contact me directly, and I'm going to write an email. It's basically office@autismtransformed.com. And then there was one more question I forgot earlier, and it was about, do you need a special room to do this in? And I don't think you do. It's just wherever you have space, right?
Yeah, it's just an indoor product. So we want to keep it indoors, but you can install it anywhere. Right next to the wall, it plugs into a regular outlet. It can be in your basement with a concrete floor. It can be right on carpet. It's a completely self-contained system.
Right.
It's really, basically plug and play anywhere.
I thought so. Yeah. So any last wisdom or anything, or have you said it all? Everything?
No, I just wanted to, there's a lot more we can talk about. We'll just have to follow up with another talk in the future. We'll get into some of the details, but I wanted to echo what you said. In the last 20,000 years, all of our evolution has been only cultural. And so this culture of convenience and all these technologies are all fun, and they provided great benefits to our lives. But biologically, we haven't evolved at all. Biologically, we need what we got 100,000 years ago and a million years ago. It's all still the same. So the solution to all of our health problems is not really found in fractionated, fractionated solutions. It's getting back to that ancestral healing experience, which is full spectrum light, ancestral food and diet, ancestral experience. This is really it. And the rest, I didn't invent this. I didn't invent this light bulb. This dates back 120 years. I just stumbled upon the concept, and I've made this a nice product that you can enjoy. You get 100 days to try it out, risk-free. There's free return pickup. If you,
in the U.S.
In the USA, yeah. But this is what I wanted 5 or 6 years ago. So this is what I believe in. This is what I've strived to, and I have achieved it. And now we're moving into the new EMF Faraday sauna enclosure, and we're doing all these exciting things because this stuff works. And that's in this crowded sauna market where there's a million sauna companies out there. How is it that I came in and I've disrupted everything and changed everything, and I have a better thing because it's this combination of better science and better light source, better light technology. And then number two, the better space. That's the sauna space. It's lightweight. It's convenient. It's not some big dopey cabinet box. It's just clean and simple and beautiful. And I think that's what most people, that will get them into the sauna every day. And that's what we really need. We need to get everybody to get in there every day.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And then someone just asked if when the new EMF Proof 1 was coming out, and you said in January, you said that earlier, that it'll be ready.
Yeah, tentatively January, probably likely February as things work out, but it is completely upgradable. That's what's exciting. The design will allow anyone that has the 2-year-old design or greater. Almost everybody will be able to upgrade with an upgrade kit. So it's basically an extra special lining and a grounding mat and a new curtain, and they snap all together so they're grounded. But you can buy the base product right now, the Pocket Sauna, and always upgrade to that at some later point.
Good point. People are asking if you can pre-order that one, and I think talking to you the other day, it sounded like not.
You can't yet because we're still finalizing some of the production details, and we're kind of swamped. We had the biggest sale weekend we've ever had a couple weeks ago, and
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great.
But no, when we come out, we will send out a newsletter. There'll be a lot of nice explanations, and we'll be ready in the spring, and everybody will be able to get it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We've gone way over time, but I really appreciate the extra time you put in, and for people staying on, and thanks for listening to the end. And but you were just so full of so much good information, I couldn't stop you. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luminar. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk to everybody. I know I talk fast sometimes, but I get really excited about this stuff, and I just want people to understand it. It's very, very, very simple. And maybe I talk too fast sometimes, but so important to discuss these things because people get confused out there, and this is the knowledge, and it's out there, and you can read it on my website, and you can compare it to farm infrared saunas and what they're saying, and this is the truth. It's great. And it's take it for what it is. Do your own research and try it out.
That's really what I like to say. Don't trust me. Don't trust me. Do your own research. So, and I want to thank everyone for you for joining in and listening. So, happy holidays, everyone.